This is the VRG Pakistan Breakfast at Davos. So on behalf of the Pathfinder group, VRG, I3, and iPath, I welcome you. Thank you for joining us. We have a distinguished group of speakers today.
Thank you very much for the kind introduction. And so many thanks for inviting me on this session. I'm very thankful to and pleased and honored to be here, and thankful to Sehgal family and Kabir Saab and Mariam and all the learned people, the CEOs of Pakistan, which are contributing a lot in our economy. I would be brief because I have to catch a flight. But I had prepared a presentation about the role of NADRA, National Database and Registration Authority, in digital transformation. The topic today is financial inclusion, but you can't be financially empowered or included before you are included in the social contract. So that's where I will start, and that's where I will talk about the NADRA's contribution, National Database and Registration Authority's contribution in creating a transformative environment in Pakistan as far as digital inclusion is concerned. So we'll talk about inclusion and then digital inclusion, and then we'll go towards financial inclusion. This is what NADRA is. We count the peoples. Why? Because people can count on the state. It's that simple, right? So 140 million, 97% of population, we have their biometrics. We count them uniquely because each person is unique. So we take their fingerprints, 10 fingerprints and digital photograph, and now we are adding iris also. So we have a rich digital ID layer that we use it to reform governance and to empower the people. So people get a chip-based ID card, 18 and above, the adults, and we have infrastructure, 779 offices, and wherever the people cannot come to us, we go to the people. We have 220, I think two mobile vans. We have manpack units, and the mountains like Switzerland, we have K2 and all those mountains. Up in the mountains, we have trackers with manpack units registering the people. So the infrastructure is there. So 140 million national ID cards have been produced, but that's not the only success story that everybody is counted. The success story is when I was working in United Nations as Chief Technical Advisor, advising 130 member states on digital governance, we figured out that the countries who have strong foundational systems, they can roll out digital public goods quickly. In the event of crisis, polycrisis, in the event of disaster, in the event of pandemics. So what is actually a foundational system? These are foundational systems. CRVS, Civil Registration and Vital Statistics System, National ID, Digital ID Program, and if you have digital census. So if these foundational systems are there, you can roll out all of these digital public goods, which Pakistan already has. We have disaster relief systems, where we will talk about it. We can find out who's paying the taxes and who is not. But of course, there is a political will that is required that who is not paying to collect the taxes from that segment of the society. We can manage our borders efficiently, and access to health, social protection program, all those are coming in the next slide. So we do South-South cooperation. We have about 77 national projects and then some international projects. We helped Kenya to come up with a machine-readable passport, and now Kenya is being upgraded to e-passport system developed indigenously by Nadra software engineers. We are helping Somalia to come up with the first national ID system, Sudan civil registration system, Nigeria national identity management system, Fiji election management system. We are helping European Union to actually use our readmission system. We developed it for 34 countries of European Union. And Bangladesh driver's license, so on and so forth. I have about 13 countries waiting. But this was the model that I presented in United Nations. That in order to reform the governance, you have various threads of government, and then you have various technologies, mobile technology, blockchain technology, hash graph, BI tools, all these technologies, biometric technologies. But you don't want to just set up a technology theater. You see the technology from the prism of the citizen eyes, from the citizen lens. And then you do citizen-centric intervention using technology. You use only that technology that empowers the citizen. And then you focus on the derived values that you want to achieve. You want to enhance state capacity, you want social contract to be strengthened, you want to roll out targeted subsidies, tax the rich but provide subsidy to the poor. But how would you find out that who is poor and who is rich? The data would tell you. You want to roll out financial inclusion programs, so on and so forth. So for smarter, safer government, the digital ID is the key. The foundational system is the key. And then you connect them with the SDGs. There is a SDG 16.9, social justice, but the target is 9, which says that by 2030, everybody should have a legal ID, including children. So all these SDGs, you can measure them with real data, not with statistical data, not by chance theory, not by probability, but real data. So, and you can attach those. So we are in Nadra tracking these SDGs with real data by real intervention, digital intervention. And these are interventions that I have listed out, but I will share the presentation with you and you can read out. Now we come to digital inclusion. We have financial inclusion, we will talk about it, but we are doing digital intervention in healthcare. We have Sehat Sahulat program in Pakistan. We are doing a digital intervention in education also. So an ID card has all the ecosystem built in. You can scan it, you can swipe it, you can dip it, you can visually inspect it. When you dip it, what is on the ID card is on the chip also. So you don't need a big infrastructure, you need one-to-one authentication with one device where you take the fingerprint and what is stored in the chip, you can read it and you can provide the service. So, eKYC is very easy in Pakistan, and that's where we have done some intervention where all Nadra offices, 779 are there, but we are taking the Nadra office in your mobile phone. People used to go to give their biometrics in Nadra's office. Pakistan became the first country in the world who have started taking biometric by phone by this innovation that we have done in digital. So now you take your fingerprints picture and it is verified, and you take your ICAO compliant photograph from the phone and you submit your documents on the phone. So Prime Minister is going to inaugurate that hopefully next month, but this is ready. And this has created a revolution in financial inclusion industry, in banking industry for digital onboarding, and microfinance industry, insurance interest industry, and credit card, and all those healthcare insurance also. So they are using that. So digital onboarding is easy now. We have various services that we are going to roll out next month. It's a platform, it's called Nishan Pakistan platform. So we will give sandbox to all the entrepreneurs of Pakistan so that they can use it to build the identity related services in whatever product that they are rolling out. So that is also in line. So these are our interventions where identity layer is used. If you have to pay your taxes, if you want to open a bank account, you want to have a SIM, you want to buy a property, you want to pay your bill, you want to have a passport, domicile, you want to vote, social protection program, and health program. In all these programs, Nadra's digital ID layer is included. We come to a Asan mobile program account, and my thing is that the government cannot work in isolation. Even if we do some innovation, I open Nadra's platform for public-private partnership, and that's where the fusion happens. That's where the transformation happens. I mean, you have Siri, but it was not developed by Apple. You have LASIK surgery, you have night vision goggles, and all these were invented by some agency of the government all across the world. But it is integrated and built in the private sector. So private sector provides you the scalability. So when Sehgal Saab came to me and he said that we want to integrate for eKYC, I said, okay. In my previous stint when I was chairman, I got a lot of criticism that why I allowed Easy Paisa to be rolled out, why Nadra didn't do it. We can't do it, but I think what we can do is that we can provide a platform and various other platforms to private sector where they can scale that product and create that transformation. So here is the transformation. In 1 year, 7 million accounts. Actually, when I prepared this presentation from departing Pakistan, 6.7 or 6.8 million Asan mobile accounts were there. But we crossed yesterday 7 million. 47.8 billion financial transactions took place, 52.6 million total transaction processed. And the good story is that 40% of 7 million accounts are owned by women. So, Benazir Income Support Program, I was one of the small contributors when we were architecting that program. It is now flagship program. So 8.7 million beneficiaries so far till last 10 years, 1.3 trillion rupees have been dispersed and 114 million biometric verifications were taken place. Pension disbursement, we just rolled out this product I think 3 days ago when I was departing from Pakistan for senior citizen, and it is AI based model which asks the personal question for KYC for the senior citizens whose biometrics are not read. So I have a portfolio. When I left United Nations, I had a cheat sheet of 43 projects. In 1 year, I have completed 33. So I have revised because world has moved on in 1 year, and now we have portfolio of 77 projects and initiatives. So every 4 days we are launching a new initiative. I want to get it done by 2024. So this was another initiative I launched in 2008, where the the students who couldn't complete their education, university education. We gave them our software, we gave them the computer, and we said, you just collect the utility bills, and here is our platform. We call it e-Sahulat. And when I left in 2014, there were only 6,000. Today, 17,000 of those people who have continued their education, and they are earning on average 50-60,000 rupees by getting the franchise of e-Sahulat. US dollar 105 billion have moved in last 13-14 years of transaction. 2.1 trillion transactions have gone through that system. So it is panning out very well, because think about it, in Pakistan there are 16,400 ATMs. I had to, just 3 weeks ago, add 17,000 of our franchises into that equation, and you have now 17,000 human ATMs, because we have linked with one link e-payment system, so you can do the cash in and cash out. So that's also a very transformative project. Sehat Sahulat program, everybody knows, it's a healthcare insurance program and anchored in digital ID. And so far it has a 97% satisfaction rate, and 175 million total beneficiaries have actually utilized this program. When there is any disaster or crisis, Nadra takes it as a black swan moment, as an opportunity, as a creative moment. So we were asked to put together quickly a system based on digital ID, which can track your COVID vaccine, who got the first dose, so that second, third dose could be given to us. I said, no, we will develop a national immunization management system. COVID is just part of it. And now we have rolled it out to track the yellow fever, for polio vaccines. And the next level, we are taking it in the third quarter of this year, where I want to track all the kids that they got their vaccination done or not, digitally. So just a comparison, I still have my UN yellow card as the COVID vaccine card, handwritten. I have US vaccination card, handwritten by CDC. And look at our card, which can be verified on phone, and on any immigration officer can see by just clicking on the QR code that whether it is issued by the government or not. Similarly, school enrollment, CRVS, we are facilitating, and I won't go into the detail, but I want to narrate another story, that we have dismantled the barriers of registration to vulnerable community. That was my goal. So I set up a department, it's called Inclusive Registration Department. Inclusivity is my main goal. And by dismantling the women registration barriers, we were able to register 4.4 million women. And we are able to reduce the registration gap from 14% a year ago to 6.4%. So my goal is that I'm registering every month more than what I registered last month. So we are the only institution in South Asia actually, which caters, government organization, which caters to 136,000 applicants a day. 136,000 applicants a day. 57% of them are women now. So persons with disabilities and transgender, Pakistan is the only country that recognize the third gender, and so we actually we empower them with that identity, and we track the persons with disabilities by giving them a card, a special card with a logo. For disaster management, Sherry spoke yesterday, but we have a program which is best kept secret so far, but a lot of African countries are moving into that. It's simple program. We have digital identities, so we need to identify who was flood affected or not. We can do it with one scan away, with one click. And we can verify that person who is eligible for some cash grant or relief by biometrics, and we can disperse the cash. So this is the model that we have presented, and it is built in the 4RF strategy. We did it in 2010 flood in 72 hours. And so 1.74 million Visa cards were distributed among flood affectees, and 34 billion was paid. This is our emergency cash transfer program during the COVID-19 pandemic. So we have a registry of social protection. We just used that registry, and 16.95 million beneficiaries were identified, and 179.2 billion amount was dispersed. So this is our roadmap for this year, and we are moving very fast. In this year, we want to launch Nishan Pakistan platform, identity authentication, online or offline mode. Any entrepreneur can get that sandbox. Digital signing of transactions, we will offer single sign-on service. We want Amazon, we want PayPal, we want all these international players who are not trusting buyer or seller of Pakistan. We will give them that trust by rolling out the digital ID middle layer. Citizen privacy, we are taking it to the next level. I am rolling out, even next month, the consent regime where every Pakistani would own their own data. So if you want to use their data, you have to get their consent electronically through OTP. So that would be revolutionary service. And then we have developed a software which will actually uniquely identify a document, that which document it is, by just taking the picture of that document. Whether it's a birth certificate, whether it's death certificate, ID card, passport, so that we are going to roll out. So we want to become the gateway for all services. This is Nishan Pakistan, I already told you. And this data exchange layer we are working on. That's my presentation. I have to rush to the airport, but all of these publications are available on the internet. You can read on each slide. There is a publication that I have written, and you can browse through. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker is a very dynamic lady, a grad of London School of Economics. 21 years of experience, played a very vital role especially in the banking study for the digital transformation. I personally know her since some time, and I have seen the transformation not within the organization as a role played by her, but also as a lady who actually progresses, who actually really progresses her career onto the next level. Digital financial services, digital inclusive finance, these all words is actually really fits to her portfolio. So, ladies and gentlemen, please, Ms. Amreen Malik, the Chief Digital Officer and the Chief Business Officer of UBank.
When we were designing this particular session, the kind of things that we talked about were how we can showcase the best of things that are being done in Pakistan in the digital space. There are many things that, Mr. Malik just shared as well, have been happening. But many partners are coming in who are doing work which is yet to be shared and seen. So I'll start first not with digital financial inclusion, but with exact opposite of that. I want to talk about exclusion first. When you understand exclusion, you will understand why inclusion is so important. And I want to share a personal story. It was a watershed moment for me to understand what exclusion is. I've been a banker for more than 20 years or so. And while I work very closely on ground with our customers, with our staff, I never understood the definition as well as I understood about 2 years ago. And it relates to a personal story. I found myself in a hospital preparing for a brain surgery 2 years ago to remove a tumor from my brain. As I was preparing for the surgery next day, a team of doctors walked in and asked me if I will give a consent regarding certain medical data, because they wanted to use that data with a partner university hospital in US. I asked them, the researcher in me asked one question, why do you need data and women data? I'm sure it's available. You guys are a big hospital. What's wrong? And the lead doctor said, you'll be very surprised. We don't have medical data pertaining to women. You know why? Women rarely make it to the treatment stage. So you're one of very few lucky women who have made it here and will inshallah go through the surgery and make it on the other side. I made it on the other side. Now, what I learned was that because there is no medical data available for men and women both, South Asians are kind of left out of the research that is needed to develop medicine, procedures, processes needed to treat us. We're different, right? That particular moment made me understand what exclusion is. I got better because I was included. The other people didn't get better because they were not included. Now, here we are. We need to understand when people are not excluded, it's the exclusion of data. It's the exclusion of information. It's the exclusion of access to medical treatment. It's the exclusion of not having access to schools, colleges, universities, credit, saving, bank accounts, and the story goes on. So it's important to understand the baseline of why we are here right now, and we are here to talk about exclusion first as a baseline and then talk about inclusion. Now I will talk about inclusion. So, somebody wise said, what exactly is darkness? And the response was, it was just an absence of light. That's what it is. So let's talk about inclusion. How do we see inclusion in Pakistan? Since yesterday, we've been meeting with the Chairman Nadra as well, talked about the landscaping of Pakistan, and I will also do it again. In the country of 220 million people, 18% of Pakistan is banked, which is a very tragic figure when you ask a banker. And I also feel ashamed every time I talk about this figure. About 60% of our population is under the age of 32 years, and they are waiting to be banked. If you do the math, about 40 million people are banked, and they're overbanked. They're not the unique account holders. There are people like all of us who will have 2 accounts or 3 accounts, have credit cards, have mortgage, have a car lease, and many bank accounts here and there. And then you talk about the banking density. In the country of 220 million people, about 180 million people have SIMs. They're connected through phones. So when you talk about inclusion, the idea was, can we marry the two and take banking to the last mile? That's how it started about 10, 13 years ago. But a lot of work is still needed to be done. We're not there yet. So we at UBank, when we started about 7 years ago, what we did was that we did some very interesting things, and we wanted to go and understand the landscape of the market ourselves first. So we sat in the car and drove to the last mile in Pakistan, and this is the management team sitting here of UBank, and CEO is also sitting here who will speak about it later, to landscape and understand what we see in terms of inclusion, what is real and what is not. Because the buzzword became the digital inclusion. And when we got on ground, we found 2 things. One, for digital inclusion, you need to have access to data, or what do you call it, the 3Gs and the 4Gs, so your customer can reach you. You get out of Islamabad, Lahore, Karachi, there is hardly any 3G and 4G. I know I will upset a few of my colleagues in the telecom sector, but that's the way it is. Then you talk about the customer, they are in the far remote locations, and they don't have means to come to you, they have no means to understand what banking is, and we sitting in Islamabad are thinking, well, maybe they can dial a code, or they can make a phone call and understand banking, and we found out it didn't work. So we came up with one hybrid model that we call the phygital model. And I want to talk about it, especially because where we are as a country in the journey, it has to be a dual model that needs to work before we become fully digital as a country. Chairman Nadra actually explained it really beautifully, and I really like what he said in terms of the digital inclusion and the financial inclusion. So for us bankers as well, we divide it in two parts. The financial inclusion part and then the digital inclusion part. Financial inclusion is the first part of digitization. Till the time you will not have people in banking net, you cannot digitize them. So that's first thing. And for us to do that, it's very important that we take banking services to the last mile and help them come into the banking net. That will also increase the tax net. Once that happens, you help them understand how digitization works. And this digitization will make life easier for them as well as for us, because when you go to the last mile and you see your customer cannot read and write, he does not have access to data, you need to become the boots on ground where you can teach them the importance of inclusion and teach them how to get on the digital journey. So as we live with the phygital model, and we at UBank, mashallah, we are the fastest growing microfinance bank in Pakistan, 300 branches on ground, and inshallah by the time we will close this year, we'll be 400 plus branches on the ground, and our objective is to make sure that we take banking to the last mile. While we do that, we are very aware and mindful of the fact that collaborations are the key for us to take the digital part of our services to the last mile. That's where people like AMA, VRG, our friends from last 5 or 6 years. I'm very proud to say that we were the first bank that signed up with you guys about 5 or 6 years ago. First or the second one? First one. So this is a partnership that goes way back as well. So our handshakes with partners like AMA, our handshake with partners like Nadra are what we are looking towards in order to take the physical form of banking to the last mile, either through a USSD, either through an app, or through any portal that allows us to service the customer better. In terms of collaboration, we are very clear that everybody cannot do everything. Pakistan is in a stage where the digital ecosystem is slowly coming to life. And the speed, unfortunately, is not as fast as we would have liked to see. But what is happening now with the arrival of EMIs, digital banks, more organizations, smaller banks, microfinance banks, MFIs, the ecosystem is slowly developing. Everybody can't do everything. The banks can only do the bank's job. Partners like VRG can only do their part. We need more and more people to come in to help us develop that ecosystem, the railroads that are needed to take the digital services, digital banking services to the next level. And I am particularly very happy that we are standing at a phase in Pakistan's life at a very interesting place where more and more partners are coming in, AMA being one, and we are proud that we are now seeing more of our customers using this particular channel, even when we are a branchless banking license holder. This is working out very well for us and for our customers. Also, Chairman Nadra has just left. I think one thing that I want to convey to him particularly is, it will be such a win for everyone if organizations like Nadra actually let the walls down and allow something similar to issuing a bank account against every CNIC. We've been talking about it as a bank. And if every single child born in Pakistan who is issued a B form or a B card or a CNIC gets a bank account as a default setting, the thought and the worry of financial inclusion will just disappear from Pakistan. So maybe that is something that you and me need to do once we are back in Islamabad. And we hope that more and more receptive people and partners will come forward and help us design the ecosystem in a way that will move Pakistan forward. In the end, I would just say we will be talking more about these issues and the things that we are doing going forward. Collaboration, collaboration, collaboration is all that we focus on. And as a bank, as U Microfinance Bank, UBank, Phygital way of life is what has done beautifully for us and for our customers. And we will go digital as a nation in maybe 5 to 7 years. But that road needs to be taken one step at a time, with many partners walking with us, slow and steady, and having faith that we'll get there. Pakistan is at a very interesting place, and I am very excited to see Pakistan transform into a fully digital economy, inshallah, in next 5 to 8 years' time. That is my optimistic view. Thank you very much.
So guys, let me just give you some brief about what the Chairman Nader is talking about Asan mobile account and how UBank is also playing their part, but what other banks are doing and what we are actually planning to do. But not only this, what we have done up till now. But to start with, let me give you a very quick brief of what VRG is. VRG has been it's been founded nearly 9 years back, and with the vision of, that we have to remain focused towards financial inclusion and women empowerment, but more towards women financial empowerment. But to build these things and these concepts need to be implemented, two things need to be done. First, build the rails, and the payment rails economical, low, cost effective. And these rails need to be built through a proper channel and by acquiring certain licenses. And what about the second thing? If you want to include people in the financial ambit net, right, you have to give them access channels, which Amreen is talking about. So being VRG, how we can do it? So the first of all, we acquire a license for PSO-PSP, a license issued by the State Bank of Pakistan. By the virtue of this, we are now a payment gateway. And the second channel is how people will access us. So might be my few comments may offend some people over here, but making fancy apps and making some fancy web apps doesn't serve the purpose. You need to study well about the country dynamics. The people who are actually in Pakistan and the developing countries, they don't have the right access to the internet. Country like Pakistan, who have a 194.6 million subscribers of telecom, so 41% are using smartphone, 59% are using feature phones. And they are the real masses who need to be included. How you can do that? By giving them a mobile app, they can't use it. They don't have the access to internet. So you need to give them certain technological solution, a technological channel through which they can access your platform. And then they can acquire the services. So again, as Amreen said, make them available to you so that they can have a bank account and then you can digitize them. And this is the same thing which VRG has done. So by covering this, we are the only company in Pakistan who have two licenses, that is PSO-PSP and TPSP, third-party service provider. It means that 196.4 million subscribers are live on our platform. This is a huge number which has never been done in Pakistan. So let me start with something. We have created a platform. By using this platform, so what I'm talking about is, by having a complete aggregation of the banks and by having a complete aggregation of all telecom operators in Pakistan, we have introduced a model which is called a many-to-many interoperable model. By using this, any person in Pakistan having any SIM issued by any telecom operator can access any bank and open a bank account within a minute by using a USSD technology through which the person doesn't require any smartphone or an internet. Without internet or without smartphone, you are now able to open a bank account nearly on a real-time manner. This platform is being developed by it's a homegrown platform. It's being developed by our own people, Pakistani people, by our own company like iPath. But let me tell you something very, very crazy about this thing. In the last 14 months, We have opened 7 million accounts. And again, this is very important. See the stats. So these stats really make some differences, and maybe Kabir will be very interested in seeing this, especially, and Mohsin as well. Said these accounts has been opened. We have two functions, like you can open a bank account, or maybe your existing account can be linked on a platform so that you can access this account through USSD. So all in all, if you see that the female account numbers with respect to the provinces, so Punjab is on the top, Sindh, KPK, but the main thing is Balochistan. So from the Balochistan, we have a good number of females opening bank accounts. So this is something which has never been done in Pakistan up till now. These things, what I'm just trying to project here is this platform is now changing the destinies of Pakistanis. They have now the access channel by using a simple phone, which are like feature phone, button phone, and they can use the banking services. This service is now not only live, but is being recognized by many international forums, which I'll cover later. And an amazing thing, next one please. Please, province-wise, please listen to this. This female account ratio, especially in Sindh, you can see this has never been done. So women are getting in power, and this platform is not only giving them a new option of using this banking channel, but also giving a new platform of services which comprises of you can go instant loan without visiting a bank account, without visiting any bank branch. They can get instant insurance without visiting any insurance company's office. By sitting at their home, they can request those services. The biggest challenge of Pakistan's people who are actually wants micro loans or nano loans. Like I think one of the best bank in Pakistan who's giving the micro loans and nano loans, especially like micro loans with a higher number of limit, is from the UBank. Those people are now having this channel available, that they can use those services by using a simple phone. I personally want to share this story that when we started this journey, most of the companies who are already doing this thing, but on a one-to-one manner, like they have a USD channel and they are one bank. They came to us and said that we won't be integrating with you. You are a competitor to us. And I said, no, I'm actually complementing your business. I'm giving your customers an access of multiple services which are actually being offered by other banks on this platform. Later on they realized, and one of those banks who is right now number one in having all these accounts, they have a ratio of nearly 40% of the accounts, is actually the same bank who said this thing to me, that you are actually a competitor to me. So this is the real success of us, that we are actually having all those banks with us who are actually giving a very hard time in launching this service. This service now is State Bank of Pakistan. I'm really thankful to State Bank and the Pakistan Telecommunication Authority that they are actually working with us like a team. This platform has been built now. You can open a bank account, you can transfer funds, you can take statements, but what's next? So now we were working with State Bank to expand these services from branchless banking to the commercial banks. So this service, right now we have 16 banks on board, like the whole branchless banking industry is directly integrated with us. But now we are moving this service to the 36 banks, and this notification will be issued in next 2 weeks. So this is something really big which is coming up for the Pakistan. In the last, I must say, next one please, next one. Some use cases, right? Pakistan has been hit by a flood very badly. We have seen that in the past when such situations occurs, what happened? People get registered, they have a paperwork done. We have seen that out of the main affectees, many of them are not the affectees. So we need a transparent system. Then an affectee will directly register themselves directly to the system. Open a bank account directly. which is being, visualized and being visible to all the authorities. And then the data, by using that data, the funds will be transferred to that account instantly. How this can be done? Through our platform. A user, an affectee, can dial a code from their feature phone by using his credentials from the telecom industry, from NADRA. On a real-time basis, we will get a bank account open. That by using the maps, you can directly find out the location, that is the right location, and send the people is really an affectee. His account is being opened, is being approved, and on a real-time basis, a bank like UBank, who is integrated with us and being integrated with the bank, with the National Disaster Authority, will disburse the money directly to their accounts. This system is right now live. We are in a very high-level talks with Sindh government on the flood-affected program, and our solution for account opening has already been approved. So this is something which is a role model that this platform, how this platform can work in multiple ways. Last but not the least, I must say before ending up my speech is, you need good partners. You always need good partners. You always need good clients. But I must say clients, what is not good, you always need good partners. And then good partners, next one please. These are my partners. Like all the banks really in Pakistan, who are the really dynamic banks, all the branch banking industries, all the telecom operators, they are all live with me. And thanks to all those partners, especially UBank, who are doing some big things with us in upcoming time, that because of these people, government, VRG, and the financial sector, they are making an example for the world. So this is our local recognition. What about a recognition on the international level? So last year, not last year, like in May 2021, Queen Maxima have recognized our system in her speech during the World Economic Forum. And in her speech, he said that if someone wants to see the poor payment systems as those set up in Pakistan, exemplify this. So this has been done in the last World Economic. So this is something which has been, I must say, achieved by Pakistan, which has been achieved by the financial institutions, by State Bank, PTA, our partners, and in the last, VRG. But one more thing. We are right now in talking to WEF and Edison Alliance that Pakistan should be considered as a lighthouse country for the financial inclusion and women empowerment. We are very much there. We have multiple sessions already. There are only 2 countries who's been given the lighthouse country, declared as a lighthouse country, but one is for education and one is for internet penetration. But for the financial inclusion and women empowerment, we are right now very much there. So we are very much hopeful that in a very short span of time, Pakistan should be, or maybe, inshallah, will be considered as a lighthouse country. Yes, and this has been mentioned yesterday, right? So last point before, sir, I haven't that covered in my speech and also in my presentation, that being the first PSO-PSP of Pakistan, being the first and the only TPSP company, licensed company in Pakistan, being the only company providing this menu-to-menu platform, then another thing happened to VRG to become the first company in Pakistan who is providing cloud infrastructure-based financial services approved by State Bank of Pakistan. And before coming to WEF, we went live 3 days back. So we become the only company in Pakistan who is providing end-to-end financial services through cloud infrastructure. So before end of this session, I would like to call upon, I must say again, one of the most dynamic person in the banking industry of Pakistan, who's really transformed a bank with a portfolio of only 2 billion to 200 billion and doing so much things, especially in the digital sector. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Kabir Naqvi, the President of the bank.
I will be brief because I think a lot has been said, and regarding the U-Bank strategy, I think Amreen in quite a lot of detail explained what we did, what we have been doing, and what we plan on doing. So in 2 minutes, I would just request you all to just zoom out a little when we talk about financial inclusion or digital financial inclusion or phygital financial inclusion. Why? What's the objective? What are we trying to achieve? So in a country of 220 million people, if you look at the money supply, 9 trillion rupees, the latest estimate is 9 trillion rupees are lying outside of the formal banking sector. And as a student of economics, I've heard and read that a rupee or a dollar outside of the sector coming into the formal sector has a multiplier effect of 1:4. So that is the kind of difference that we can make. And if you can imagine with me right now that Pakistan is sort of a bank or a financial institution, and imagine it as a balance sheet. So on your balance sheet, you are missing 9 trillion rupees with which you can create high quality assets, which will give rise to productivity in the country. So as a microfinance bank, what we have seen over the last 7 years, and then in my previous life 9 years with Tamir Bank also, we had to shift the lens a little. And by that I mean that when you work with the masses, when you actually go down there to the last mile and you see how things are done, that gives you perspective. And digital, as Amreen mentioned as well, is a means to an end. It's a channel, but the end objective needs to be kept in mind. So in the Pakistani context, there is a lot that needs to be done in terms of providing brick and mortar presence. And I'll share some of the things that we are planning on doing in the physical brick and mortar increased space. Why people ask me, Kabir, this is 2023, in UK banks are closing branches and we see you cutting ribbons every second day and you're adding brick and mortar branches. What are you doing? And I always invite them to come with me and go down to the last mile and see how the country's landscape really is. Now we've got 5 digital banks coming in now. The NOCs have been given. They will also need cash in, cash out rich locations. Now somebody has got to be out there where nobody else is to provide that service to the digital banks to operate as well. What we tried to do back in 2008 when the branchless banking regulations came in, we tried to use the superstore or a Karyana store model to provide financial services. Now what happened is that the ability of the Karyana store was only so much in order to provide liquidity. So the ticket size, what we had envisioned for domestic remittances, bill payments, was maybe something else, but it was determined eventually by the size of the kitty of the Karyana store. So 14 years down, 4,000, 5,000 rupees average ticket size, if you just compound the inflationary impact, the size should have increased to say 30,000, 40,000. And the other thing that nobody talks about is, what is the business model of the 400,000 Karyana stores that we're all using for branchless banking? 95% of their revenue or profit is coming from their core business, which is maybe selling eggs in bread. And then they have 4 machines lying in the same shop, and whoever is paying the highest incentive, because there's no entry barrier and there's no USP, it's the same service pretty much provided by all the players, and that service is being used. Now if we are to graduate from that, we have to look for cash-rich brick and mortar locations for all of us, for ourselves, our own digital products, the new digital banks, commercial banks, telecoms, whoever wants to get into financial services, they will need a reasonable cash in, cash out location. And what could be better than a bank branch? So we took a brave decision, went to our shareholders in the year 2023 and asked for permission to open 100 more full menu branches, which is quite the opposite of what people are trying to do. That does not make us digital averse. We get some flag on that also, that maybe you don't want to go digital. No, we just say let's not fix what's not broken. There is a dire need for physical locations, not only for us, and it will help the rest of the digital players also. So I leave you with this thought: 9 trillion rupees in Pakistan out of the sector, huge opportunity. Brick and mortar is going to be there. As a practitioner, I can tell you, we do 6,000-7,000 miles, road miles every quarter. I can tell you that there is a dire need of bank branches, ATMs, and physical locations and kiosks in Pakistan. So let's work together, as Salman also mentioned, and we are going to be signing something very interesting just now, and work together for financial inclusion via digital modes or through brick and mortar. Thank you very much.
So I would like to invite Mr. Kram Sehgal for a few words on how we are actually constructed this and how we are taking this thing forward. So,
Thank you, Salman. Thank you, Kabir. Thank you, Kabir. Of course, Tariq Malik is not here, but one must thank him because obviously Nadra has done tremendous work for Pakistan and in fact showed the world what we can do outside. I think the high point for me was yesterday when Lyric Dusek said in his speech on the World Economic Forum that we are considering VRG as a lighthouse country. Now, having only 2 lighthouse countries at the moment and 3 in the offing, to be considered in digital finance as a lighthouse country is a great effort. Last year, the United Nations gave an award to a company in Singapore because they have objective and an ambition to do 1 billion accounts by the end of 2030. And last year, they given a company in Singapore which had just about reached 1 million accounts an award. We've done that 7 million accounts in less than a year. Now, the whole thing arises out like, I pick up something which Amreen said, collaboration, collaboration, collaboration. We deal with a lot of banks, but UBank has been a tremendous surprise and a tremendous support because we are now really the things, of course, I wish we had time to talk about Fatafat, one of our services that we are collaborating with UBank, and which will really transform this thing. Because, something that did not occur to anybody was the small grocery store. The small grocery store. Just imagine. And then a service, of course, in many ways, a service which is known as direct assisted service, which enables you to deliver instead of going to a courier company, into delivering, etc. You bring up anything you can get delivered. That, of course, coming later, Jhatse, we'll talk to UBank about that also. Now, that is part of Fatafat at the moment. But think about that grocery store. What is his biggest problem? His biggest problem is inventory. He can only sell as much as he has got in the store. So now if you can get a loan through to him, which UBank is working through, he will never have a problem of inventory. He will always have that stores that he will have available to sell. So he really contributing to the economy. The more that he can sell out of the stores, he will be. And this will not go away in Pakistan soon. Somebody tried that. I'm not going to name the company. Of having huge warehouses, out Amazon, and they went bankrupt. Right, having thrown $700 million down the drain, right, in 2 years' time, right. So they went bankrupt, right. And so I think that is a good to say that you cannot do that. You have to have what I call virtual Amazon. You don't have to have big warehouses. You have to have a virtual Amazon, and that is the grocery store, the small grocery store. He is our virtual Amazon. So he maintains the stores. We deliver them, because of the loans provided by UBank. So thank you very much, everybody. And I'm going to request Zara to say the thing, but because, really, we as a family invested a lot. We've invested in this particular dream of ours to make sure that it is really satisfying that is now being recognized. And one hopes that one day it will be recognized in Pakistan also.
I'll just quickly sum up. I think most of you are probably sick of hearing my voice from yesterday, but look, I wanted to thank everybody. I think you can tell we're very proud of what we've achieved without any outside funding. This has been all, family developed, family funded, we've come to Davos, and I thought Senator Sherry Rahman was very gracious yesterday in acknowledging that year after year we do this, out of our own, out of our own funds. We promote Pakistan ultimately. I mean, we're mentioning VRG today, we're mentioning I3, iPath, obviously the Pathfinder group is there. But ultimately, we've tried to promote Pakistan year after year after year. And it has been a bit of a thankless exercise at times, and I think part of it, I think, sometimes reflects the state of the country as well. I think when it's uncertain, I think you see that happening more. But look, I think particularly in this field of digital financial inclusion, I only see positive growth for Pakistan. I think we can go. We can keep mentioning the youth dividend in Pakistan, but that's the reality. You have a large population under the age of 30, which is currently unbanked, which will want to be part of the financial network, which will demand to be part of the financial network, simply because there will be things that they need as a basic necessity, whether it's automobiles, whether it's their desire to own a house or piece of land. And I think that will all come through all of these applications and payment systems they're talking about. And I think Asan mobile account, I think, will be one of those leading platforms that will see Pakistan in the future. So whatever you see today, I really think we minimize it. I think I see an opportunity for Asan mobile account, VRG, Ubank. I think these things to be really tenfold, in the next 3 to 5 years, and that may be a conservative estimate from where I sit. So again, thank you again. I thank everybody for joining us, and obviously I thank all our esteemed guests. I know the chairman Nazar had to leave, but obviously thanks to him as well. I think people are dealing with snowy roads for the first time in Switzerland, as I understand it. I don't think it's ever snowed in Switzerland before, so the way people are reacting. But thanks to him. I know it was a difficult journey for him to make it, but I appreciate it. Thank you again to all our family members who are here, and thank you obviously, for all your hard work. I know he's my father, but I can't stop mentioning it. It's a tireless exercise, and hopefully get some rest tomorrow, starting tomorrow. Thank you.